I mean, this shit can't be against the rules now. I fuck with these niggas. Get the nigga that did designer ad libs, get him on the phone, because this shit about to be lit. Like a I got hoes up and Brooklyn. My Jamaican bitch be cooking. She sit me down at the table. I let you know how I was looking. Rice and peas, macaroni, cheese, collard greens, no, she no bullshit. She step curd with the curd chicken, she just make a whole bunch of good shit. I've been at the goal. I got the races on the tow truck. Had to hit it with some magic and give me the profit, but back give me more. I go with five nuts, a cute line with my toes brought down in Florida. I stack it, pack it in that order. Hold up, I'm on the way out. I need to put some in my soda. I don't need no nuts, I'ma go get a bunch of Asian bitches stuffed in the rover. My legacy, fuck that. They thought that they were gonna come back. Now go tell them that when you run back. You go home, so you already done that. Hold up, I'm on the way out. I need to put some in my sprite, bitch. If you think you're doing it, I'm about to ruin it. You niggas going at night, bitch. If you think I'm lit now, I'm so happy when I come and turn on the light switch. I'm on that fantasy and I come and handle it, all that ain't shit but a fight, bitch. I mean, really though. If you think about it, really think about it, how hard do they really go? So really though. Yeah, what you really know? Hey, let's go, bitch. Hey, that's a bitch though. I got bitches in the Bronx, nigga. They can get me in the back door. Rob a nigga in the trap house. Bitch just walked in the trap door. Cross the border in the Bugatti. Go put the bricks in the rap boy. Nigga sleeping on pillows, somebody go ask these niggas what they taking a nap for. Illuminati, that's the spot, nigga. When I just said I would've been there. But I swear to God, I'ma keep killing niggas and I put that shit on my kids' head. Gas, no, I'm an asshole. So don't go because I'm in his brand. I'm the type of nigga that'll find a nigga, then go find a chick and get a bitch. Yeah, I'm on the way up. Don't even stop me, amigo. Don't put your eye on that people. Cause I'm turning back in your head to a people. Thinking you in the dough and murk all your people. You already know the weapon is lethal. Flip it, slip, cock it back, pull a hair trigger. Yeah, nigga, back for the sequel. I got rocks in my head, nigga. Smoking that shit from the West Coast. Don't hate the kids when you hate me. You gon' fuck around, get your neck broke. You gon' fuck around with the wing squad. They gon' find your body at the Cisco. The summer coming and you coming with nothing. You ready for some nigga? Let's go. All I'm saying is penna, and they handle my shit. While I'm chilling up in Alabama trying to show a bitch off as a level can get. But all this leaning up under these gold chains, but mistaking me for the kid. It's on the platform, I'm coming after them, passing them all. I do is fucking weak. I got bras out in Cali. I got hoes getting ratchet. Hit dispensaries and grab it. Wrap it all up in a plastic. USPS, I'm attracted. 2 day per order, I have it. They making the meeting of Texas. 200 racks in the mattress. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a street nigga. Ain't gotta sound like nobody, I'm just me, nigga. Been on tour with T-Pain, that's for free, nigga. That's why I'm still fuck with them bricks and the weed, nigga. And that's why I'm like, hey, but niggas gon' hop in that Benz. But niggas gon' hop in that Porsche. They know we don't need a new friend. Niggas gon' hop in that Ghost. Get up and sit at the meal. Look at that lip on the boards. Look at the motherfucking red. And I keep trying to tell them from Florida, man. 50 grand, something never say that. Baddest bitches in the world and a driving train. From the cocaine, now I'm gonna hit his
Oh yeah, thought I'd get it started with a little bit of panna for all of these cats who's are pandas. I got a little show, a little something I want to get off my chest, I guess. Give you a little something. So the name of this show is the Subversion of Black Radicalism in America. How did we get to 2020? Trump 2020. There's a lot of factions out here on YouTube talking. We got Candace Owens versus Cardi B. We got, in fact, not fucking around coalition. Everybody got an ideology. Most people don't know their ideology. So we got to look back. We got to take an understanding of how we got here. Well, if you've been following my channel, you know I was laying down the groundwork to what we call Pan-Africanism versus socialism and Marxism. Now, today's politics is full of socialism and Marxism in the Black community. I was listening to a show for Black YouTubers upset because Cardi B dragged that. Well, let me say, Cardi B got dragged by Candace Owens for doing her interview with the socialist Marxist Biden. But I don't think they really understand why she got dragged. I think I better give y'all a little quick listen before I get into this history of what's really going on. Let me go pull up some audio to kind of bring you to what really went down. Why is everybody talking about these topics? Who you gonna vote for? Are you gonna vote for socialism, Marxism? Do you plan to vote for Donald Trump's America, keep America great? Or you wanna bring, what is it? Build back America, build back better. God damn it. Joe Biden. Well, let's listen to Candace Owens wreck shop against the Cardi B stripper.
Oh, what is up, Instagram? I'm going live on Instagram. This is the second time I've ever gone live on Instagram, but I just felt like I really wanted to clear the air on this Cardi B nonsense. So first and foremost, Cardi, I watched your story and it sounds very funny. First off, I'm saying it's funny because it's just ridiculous to me that you even take anything that I said as offensive when I'm telling you the truth. And I think if anything, you're only upset because people are telling you on Twitter that you got dragged, because you did get dragged, because you aren't educated when it comes to politics. That's first things first. I was not, I'm sure Ben Shapiro was not, we were not meaning to attack you. We're just simply telling the truth, which is the fact that Joe Biden did not spend the whole year in his basement to come up because he's a big Cardi B fan and sit down with you. He thinks you're an idiot. And, you know, I just am encouraging you to stop proving him right when you say ridiculous things. Like, I had to sit down with Joe Biden because my sister got attacked by a Trump supporter, Santa Claus, making it seem like Trump supporters are homophobic. A little education for you, Cardi B. Donald J. Trump is the first president that's ever gone into office and supported gay marriage. So, you know, those 8 years that your presidential candidate Joe Biden spent as a vice president with Obama, they didn't support gay marriage going into office. Obama changed his tune on gay marriage in his second term. So the whole idea of Trump being a homophobe is a bit pointedly ridiculous and shows how uneducated you are. Then you came and you were talking about raising your taxes when you were on talking to Joe Biden, saying that you want your taxes lowered, but at the same time you want universal health care. That's ignorant and stupid. And Joe Biden knows it's ignorant and stupid. Even all the people that want free health care and universal health care acknowledge that tax rates have to be astronomical to be able to support that. So you're talking about a 74% tax rate. You continually keep saying you have a #1 song. It means shit. Nobody cares about a song about your wet ass pussy. Excuse my language for my followers. Being #1. I have a #1 song in the UK. I have a #1 song in Australia. I have a #1 song in New Zealand. That has nothing to do with Black America and whether or not you are helping or hurting. Right now, you are hurting Black America. Okay, when you stand on a platform and you pretend to care about Black men, when you ask Joe Biden, what are we going to do about these Black men dying? He should have asked you back, what are Black men going to do about Black men dying? Because 94% of Black men are killed by other Black men. Okay, we don't have an issue with police officers. In fact, if you go into those inner cities, you go into those projects, they need more policing. So you're a fraud. And you're sitting here saying, making it seem like you're afraid of police officers. Are you afraid of your husband? You're more likely to be killed by your husband, way more likely to be killed by your husband than you are by a police officer. You know that, right? You know that Black men kill more white men. You know that police officers are killed by Black men 18 and a half times more, right? So don't use your platform and 75 million people to make it seem like police officers are the issue. You're uneducated. I mean, that is just what it is. You are uneducated. And I don't have a problem, by the way, with musicians and rappers and hip hop artists dabbling in politics if they're sincere. What I mean by that is, are you talking to people on both sides? Are you trying to actually get an informed understanding, or are you just being a mouthpiece for one party? Charlemagne the God has multiple people on his platform. He's talked to Republicans. He's friends with Senator Tim Scott, talks to him. He's a Trump supporter. He's had presidential candidates on his show, on The Breakfast Club, where he asks serious questions. He doesn't sit down with Joe Biden and say, oh, good. In fact, Joe Biden wasn't comfortable when Charlemagne the God was sitting down and speaking to him, because Charlemagne the God was asking so many difficult questions. He wasn't just giving him a Santa Claus list like you are. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, and none of it makes sense. If you're serious about politics, if you're serious about trying to use your platform for good, then you need to educate yourself. That's literally all anybody is saying to you, is that you need to actually educate yourself and do the work. By the way, I'm not in your zone, you're in mine. Okay, so I get tired of your commenters and your fans saying, oh, she's clout chasing. I'd be clout chasing if I was challenging you to a rap battle. I'm not doing that. You're in my area. You're in politics. You're embarrassed because you realize you know nothing about anything when you're on Twitter. You actually told a lie just now to all of your followers. You said, oh, Trump, you said Trump told people to drink bleach. He never did that. Then you said Trump laughs when Black men get shot by police officers. How do you just put out a lie like that? How do you consider yourself to be a serious person when you just outwardly lied to all of your followers? I mean, you know he's never laughed at a Black man dying at police officers' hands. You know that for a fact. You can't pull a clip. Not even CNN, with all of their bullshit and lies, has ever claimed that Donald Trump laughs when Black men die at police officers. But you told that lie in a tweet. Why did you tell that lie? Because you're a fraud. So I'm calling you out on being a political fraud. You pretend you want to help. You don't. You don't. You don't know why you're a Democrat. You have no idea why you hate Republicans. You have no idea why you're on the side of the party that enslaved Black people, that segregated Black people, and standing behind a man that supported segregation. Joe Biden supported segregation. He said it's what Black people wanted. So let's just recap all of that. You're concerned about homophobia. For the 8 years that Joe Biden was in office, him and Obama didn't support gay marriage until the second term, but not when he was running for the second term. They didn't support gay marriage going into that office. You claim that you're concerned about racism and dying Black men, yet you want to defund police officers. That makes entirely no sense. You cannot defund the people that are actually protecting Black people. Black people need more policing in their neighborhoods, not less of it. And by the way, in those neighborhoods, there are Black police officers that are dying, because it tends to be that police officers look like the neighborhoods that they're policing. So you are actually sitting on a platform for more Black men to die, for taxes to be raised, right? For a man that has a very atrocious race record to be put into office, who looked at you the entire time like he was confused when you were talking, because he knew that you were nothing but a puppet for him to be able to get a platform. That's it. You're a puppet. They use you, okay? And you want to sit here and talk about Trump using me, or what do you talk about? Using me for what? I don't work for the RNC. I don't get paid by the Trump campaign. I say what I believe. You don't know what to do when you're looking at a Black woman that's free. That's what your problem is. I am telling you who I support, and I'm educated. And I'm challenging you to become educated. I'm challenging you to sit down with Black conservatives, okay, and have a meaningful conversation and a dialogue about what you actually want, and to actually try to understand the economics behind what you want, and try to understand why it is you're actually supporting a man that does not care about Black lives and never has, and has been in office for decades and hasn't changed anything, and you're blaming Trump. It makes no sense. You hate Trump because they told you to hate Trump. You gave me no valid reasons for hating Trump. Not a single one, not even one valid reason for why you hate Trump. You just think you're supposed to because you're a puppet. That's what happens when you get big. Look, Cardi, I enjoyed you a lot on Love and Hip Hop. I thought you were hilarious. Second I first saw you on TV, I said to my cousin, she's going to be a star. She has that it factor. She's very funny, you know, she's confident, and she says ridiculous things. I think you belong on TV. I don't believe you belong in the realm of politics unless you're willing to get serious about it. In conclusion, tonight I was just signing books, and I'm going to send you one because you need one. You need to learn. You need to black out. You need to Blexit. You need to learn about the real history of the Democrat Party. See that subtitle, How Black America Can Make its Second Escape from a Democrat Plantation. You want to know why it says second party and not first? Because we were enslaved by Democrats, not Republicans, okay? We were enslaved by Democrats, not Republicans. So I'm going to sign you a copy, get in touch with my agent, and get in touch with your agent. I'm going to send it to your house, okay? How's that for WAP, okay?
Woo, how is that for the WAP? So that's Cardi B that's Candace Owens just red-pilled 4 years ago. I think 2016. She been in the books. She been reading her Thomas Sowell, doing her due diligence so that people like Cardi B can't jump on a Twitter and go ham without an intelligent response. This is all building up to the concept of the subversion from Black radicalism in America. Now we're going to go back. We're going to go back. But before we go back, let's start from where we are at. So the latest in Black radicalism is Grandmaster Jay and In Fact. This is the latest post from the socialist, Marxist, communist perspective in Black America. In Fact.
Our rules of engagement are very simple. Under no circumstances will you point your weapon at anyone, much less they point at you first. If they do, don't shoot them. Kill them.
Now, if you couldn't hear that real well, that was Grandmaster Jay and the 2020 version of the Black Panthers. And what he said was that their operation is not to harm anybody. But if anybody points a weapon at them, don't shoot them, kill them. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? You're sitting at home, some black guy comes on YouTube, creates a YouTube channel, comes on with a big ass gun and says to you, are you tired of systemic racism? Have you not had enough of Jewish propaganda? Are you encouraged by socialism and Marxism? Social justice warriors? Get you a gun, get you a rag, some boots, some black clothes, and meet me in Louisville, Kentucky. Bring your gun, because I'm about to march you into your death. I think this is the third formation by Impact. Third formation. So far, there's like 3 wounded. The only gun that was fired was amongst themselves, and they shot themselves. But according to those orders, it looks like in the future, it's going to be a gunfight. Somebody's going to get shot once the shooting starts. Cameras is going to zone in on car license plates, eyes and noses. Everybody going to get knocked on the door by the feds. Long time sentences coming, 25 to life, for being part of a terroristic organization, a communist organization with a Marxist socialist ideology. It's coming. But before it comes, I need to make y'all aware of some shit. I need to just show you a little something. Let's share the screen real quick. I can't do too many videos. I can't show y'all too much. And I think I can show you just enough. Here's what I want you to understand. Okay. Let me go find it. Let me see where I can find it. Let's see. I want to share. Yeah, we can do it this way. Let's just share the whole screen. And then I'm gonna pull this picture up. Let's put that up there like that. All right, here we go. I want you to get a good look at this guy right here. I would love to show you this video, but I'm not sure. One, I get bad feedback. Two, they liable to strike me. But this guy right here, this guy, that's Mr. Infat. That's Mr. Grandmaster J. Now, let me stop sharing the screen. Yeah, I better stop sharing the screen. Now, I'm going to play this little audio of a guy who created this video. And if y'all want to find this video, take a look at the audio, what's going on. The video is called, In Fact, Grandmaster J, 100% Proof J was Secret Service. I think it's a little dramatic, the title, but he's certainly just not a random YouTuber. That's for certain. Let's take a listen.
They just escorted out. I want you to pay attention behind Trump. I mean directly after. So the Trump's right, your left. You can see John Fitzgerald sit down with an associate. You see him acting normal, and he's behaving, but you see him scanning. He's scanning with his vision. Now an altercation has caught his attention. And right here, look at his back. If you look really close, you can see the silhouette underneath his clothing. You can see underneath his jacket he has a bulletproof vest on, as well as he continues to scan and respond to altercations. Now he's going to sit back down and return to the show normal. Pay attention to his hand placement when he turns around. Can you see where his hands are? There is a reason for his hand placement. It's so that in the emergency that he needs to draw his weapon, he can pull his coat open with his left hand and reach for his gun with his right. Notice that he stays on guard for altercations. He still has his eye on the potential altercation. Pay attention to the manner in which he seated himself. He was shifted to his right, which means his gun is on his left, and he's right-handed. Anyone with a concealed handgun license who carries their weapon at their waistline could probably testify to this being the concept. Watch him reach into his pocket with his right hand. He's making sure that his badge and identification are still accessible and in place, and continues to scan around him. Now the altercation catches his eye again. You can tell just by his body language that he's ready to respond to an altercation. That's his job, what he's there to do. Watch him let go from his hand placement, which was in the same position in front of him. Now watch real closely as he communicates with Trump. Trump turns around. You see him waving Trump on. I've got it. Everything's cool. Keep going. Whatever. You can blatantly see him and Trump make eye contact, and there is a communication there. He is acknowledging that everything is under control, and Trump is to keep on going. As he proceeds to still scan the environment around himself. He tends not to even focus on Trump or what Trump's speech is about. He just keeps looking around, scanning for any threats. Then there's this laugh. How fucking fake could you possibly get? Look close enough and he nudges the girl to his left with his left elbow and continues to scan. And after tending to another potential threat, we see him return again. Watch close as he accepts something from the man to his left and places it in his pocket. Whoever the fucking people are around him, he clearly has some kind of association with them. He clearly knows them. They're not just blatant strangers. And you'll notice, even when he doesn't move his head, when he focuses back towards Trump, he still scans with his eyes. No matter what happens in the altercations behind him, he continuously stands up, prepared to deal with whatever they are or whatever occurs. He's on the ready to respond. He looks at Trump, letting him know that he's on it, right there. And you can see his left hand on his weapon for just a brief second. He places his hands behind his back, almost like it's a discipline thing, representing service of some sort, commonly done by even waiters, waitresses, or the guy who seats you at your table when you go out for dinner. Now he puts on a little show, trying to deter any attention. Continues to conversate or communicate with those that are around him as though he knows them. Something's got his attention. He's focused on something right now. Something in front of Trump. He moves on and continues to scan. His complete flow of body language does not match the flow of everyone around him. When he looks down and covers his face, it's likely he's receiving some kind of communication of some sort from someone somewhere else. His body language just doesn't match the ones that are around him, the people that he's sitting with, the whole crowd in general. It just doesn't match them. And his body language I'm talking about, not his race or his color or any of that bullshit. He periodically sees stuff that he focuses on, stuff that concerns him. Little incidents, whatever. Maybe they blow over or someone else handles them. But you can clearly tell that little things catch his attention. You might as well accept it. The motherfucker is Secret Service or something. Oh, and we got another one up behind him. Oh, it's just a false alarm. They'll turn around. False alarm. No matter what you think about him, he's some kind of an agent, Secret Service or something. There's nothing you can say that's going to disprove that. He's about to shake his head after he signals something to Trump. It's coming up. Continues to scan. Oh, look, Trump just got him again. Now I want to solidify that they are communicating with each other. Look at both of their facial expressions right now. They're fucking identical. They are both to the same page right in this moment.
Hold on, be strong. Wait a second. Let's clear the air a little bit here. What did we just see? You have to ask yourself, how do you get a seat right behind the president? Are you a Trump fan? Are you for Black Lives Matter? How do you go from sitting behind the president to being the leader of a socialist, Marxist, armed brigade militia? How does that work? This is all part of a ridiculous system called subversion. Now, let's deal with a little bit of history. Let's go back a little bit. I talked about this years ago when I was referencing some information. Let's see. Where we want. Let's see. Here we go. Hold on, be strong. What's up, Vegan Fit for Life? We don't want to talk right now. Okay. This is called the Jacobin. This is a socialist PhD. He goes by the name of Paul Hedeman. He holds a PhD in American Studies from Rutgers University. I'll almost say that name is Jewish. I got to look him up. That Hedeman sounds a little Jewish to me. And here he wrote an article about a atheist, socialist, Marxist in early Black politics, somewhere around 1920. He hit the scene. His name is Henry Harris. Hubert Henry Harris. And the article reads, Hubert Henry Harris is the most important Black radical you've never heard of. Well, if you've been watching my channel, you certainly heard of Hubert Henry Harris. But the article reads, while other leading figures in the Black freedom movement, from W.E.B. Du Bois to Ella Baker and to Malcolm X, have been honored with everything from street names to postage stamps, Harrison remains in the shadows, largely unknown except to specialists in Black history. That'd be me, a specialist in Black history. In his day, however, Harrison was a figure who stood alongside giants like Marcus Garvey. He was actually opposed to Marcus Garvey, although he operated with Marcus Garvey. He was an internationalist, but we'll find out. The article is pretty in-depth. Ida B. Wells and A. Philip Randolph. Harrison was also one of the earliest Black socialists. Here we go. We're coming to the important words. Take note of how you build subversion in America. We're going to deal, I got a professor who's going to break down subversion for us later in the show, and it's going to be long. So this ain't one of my little 30-minute shows. But Harrison was also one of the earliest Black socialists in the United States. In his time in the Socialist Party, Harrison developed an analysis of how capitalism produces racial inequality. Here we go. We are starting off the birth of, in fact, the birth of the Black Panthers, the birth of the new Black Panthers, the birth of the radical conscious community. We're even birthing the Nation of Islam, which I'm going to deal with that too. All of this radical ideology is a part of the subversion of the left. This is how long ago they went after your minds. Most Black people, when you sit them down and ask them 10 major questions about what Black people should do to better themselves, what you really find is they're not really socialists. They don't really believe in America having so much power that they operate and control the means of production for Black people. That's just not what they believe. Yet, the leadership, that's what they push. Because they work for the left. And the left is controlled by the Jews. A little bit of that later in the show. Let's read this article. In the United States, in its time, the Socialist Party, Harrison developed an analysis of how capitalism produces racial inequality and pressed the labor movement to directly confront that inequality. Now, I have a question for you. If you lived in 1920, based on how you feel about what you know, what group would you be a part of? Would you be a part of the Pan-African Christian Garvey movement? Or would you be a part of the Socialist Communist Party of Hubert Henry Harris? Which side would you be on? Because they wasn't on the same side. A supporter of the party of the radical left wing, Harrison was pushed out during the fractional struggle before World War I. He went on to form his own newspaper and led Black radical upsurge in Harlem that followed the war. Throughout his brief life, Harrison insisted on linking the fight against racial oppression with the fight against capitalism. Here we go. It's not about Trump's a racist. It's about socialists wanting to defeat capitalism. That's what it's about. When Trump leave office, it'll still be about that. And whoever else takes office, they'll become the target. Linking anti-racism to socialism. This is, remember, we're way back in 1920. This ain't modern day. This is 1920. I'm just giving you a roundabout year. This is where we at. Harrison was born in St. Croix, a small Caribbean island, in 1883. By the age of 7, he was working as a domestic servant. That's a slave. A domestic servant is a slave. They just don't say slavery because the term is outlawed. Not the action, but the term. He was a slave. When his mother died in 1898, Harrison immigrated to New York, finishing high school there and taking a job in the post office. He quickly established himself as an intellectual leader, organizing political discussions, groups among his co-workers, and overthrowing himself into New York's vibrant scene of street lectures and debates. He would have been on Sonetta TV on 125th Street getting interviewed by Sonetta so he can espouse his socialist, communist views, just like Sonetta does today. But he certainly wouldn't be standing there in a Marcus Garvey red, black, and green flag. That's what he would not do. This is why he wasn't rolling with Marcus Garvey. He did it first. But the Socialist Party at this time, they were anti-Pan-Africanism. And Pan-Africanism wasn't a group of atheist comedics. It was a group of Black Christians. I hate to bust your bubble, but the history in America ain't nothing but trouble. Because you're not ready for what the real is. A fierce advocate for racial equality, Harrison soon ran afoul of the most important Black political figures of his generation. The accommodationist, there we go, we got to mark that as a double-speak word. W.E.B. Du Bois created this word for Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington wasn't accommodating shit. He was mastering the proper education for a Black nation. If you want to talk about an accommodationist, the left are accommodationists. They want to accommodate you to the Democrat Party so you can become a slave for another 400 years. A domestic servant. Let me take that back. You're not a slave. You're going to be a domestic servant for 400 more years. For the accommodationist Booker T. Washington, Harrison had written a letter to the New York Sun in response to Washington's recent contentions that the southern states of the Union offer the Negro a better chance than most any other country in the world. In his reply, Harrison excoriated Washington for his silence about the outrages of American racism and accused him of holding his position as a race leader by the grace of the white people who elect colored people's leaders for them. The flip-flop. At this time, let's go back. Booker T, let's take Harrison's perspective. White folks told Booker T to go and be the leader of black people. But at this time, white people wasn't telling black people to go and create socialist Marxists out of blacks. More prospectively, in 1881, when Booker T took on the challenge, he was creating black Republicans. According to Hubert Harrison, Booker T. Washington was accommodating white folks because he was creating black Republicans. That would be a do-for-self policy that would go on to create Black Wall Street's economic endeavors, inventions, create industries, and this was accommodating white folks. This is called projection. Projection is one of the tools of subversion. And wait till I play this professor. He's a Russian from the Soviet Union who's going to come and explain to you the tactics they use when they want to subvert a nation. Oh my God, I hope you stick around for the entire lecture. It's going to be long. Long, strong, like a down wall. I'm going to try to play the video. I don't know. I mean, I might take a strike. I can't afford too many strikes. I lose the whole damn channel. I be taking chances too. I don't know. Got a lot of videos on this channel. Even though you don't see them. I got about 700-800 on this channel. About 700-900 on another channel. And counting. And that's not including what they deleted, which I do have on a hard drive. Y'all can't touch me. One day, I'm gonna edit this information. But I'm waiting. Now is not the moment. Now is not the time for the type of information that I've put out into the world. Now is not the time. I'm gonna keep my shit in the vault. And when I wake up one day and the narrative is going with what I'm talking about, when the population of black people are tired of socialism, Marxism, when they finally realize this was some devilish bullshit, I'm gonna cut loose. I'm gonna get to editing all kind of shit, kicking out all kind of documentaries, busting their ass up. I'm just waiting. I might gotta wait at least 3, 4, 5 more years. I don't know. We'll see what Trump do in his next term. How he exposes these people. Let me skip through this a little bit. Let's deal with this chapter. It was in the interest of the Socialist Party, the SP, to divest them of that club. The party, Harrison argued, had to take up the cause of all sections of downtrodden humanity. All sections. The socialists have to come in and subvert all black organizations. This is how the Pan-African movement was subverted by Marxist socialists. Black Lives Matters with the red, black, and green. This is how it happened in the conscious community. It was already programmed way back in the 20s. It just takes time. So all sections of downtrodden humanity and reject the suicidal policies of excluding black workers, as many unions in the American Federation of Labor did at the time. For Harrison, socialists and black Americans needed each other. Socialists. The socialists was pure Jews. Call them Zionists. Their ideology for black people was to convert black people from being conservative Republicans and turned them into radical black socialist, communist, Marxist, Mao Zedong, Black Panther, Black Lives Matter, in fact, Democrats. God damn, that's a cold mix of pie. Whole mix of pie. I'm just taking my time, you know. I'm really done with YouTube. I'm just doing this for the fun. I ain't tripping. I'm not looking for a billion views. My hardcore following, they understand that. Sometimes you just gotta drop this shit. Let's go down. Unfortunately, just as Harrison was publicizing his pioneering analysis of racism, larger events in the party were working against him. Factionalism between the left and the right wing was coming to a head, largely over attitudes towards the revolutionary unionists of the industrial workers of America, of the world, one war. The IWW embraced class struggle, unionism, and scorned both corporations with employers and the pure and simple unionism of the AFL. Critically for Harrison, the IWW also actively organized black workers. The right wing of the party, meanwhile, prioritized its alliance with the AFL unions and viewed the IWW as a wild-eyed revolutionaries. Do you get the picture yet? We hadn't yet become fully radical. Full democratic socialism. This is that fork in the road. This is where you're going to leave the idea of building Black Wall Streets and you're going to start marching for drinking that water fountain. You're going to start becoming social justice warriors, radicalized. They're going to change the mindset. Let's go down here to a new militancy. After leaving the Socialist Party, ask yourself, are you a socialist? Are you a socialist? Do you know if you're a socialist? This is what we're talking about today, is in fact the socialist. If in fact is a socialist militia group, why is Grandmaster Jay sitting behind the president almost in the position of Secret Service? Did he really have on a bulletproof vest? Did he have a strap? Now, if you got a strap sitting behind the president, son, you're Secret Service, son. I don't know if he had a strap. I don't even know if he's wearing a bulletproof vest. I know he was acting like he was somebody. I know the president looked directly in his eyes when he turned around and he waved them on. God, keep going, keep going. Keep America great again. What is his role? He was part of Black Lives Matter. See, when you're using subversion, you're playing all parts. Remember this. Trump is not responsible for which Secret Service man is necessarily put to protect him. There's another guy for that. He could be deep state. You never know. You never know. But it's getting deep. So Harrison was in the new opportunity of black advancement. While he opposed the war, he echoed analysts like W.B. Du Bois and Vladimir Lenin. How many of you agree with the ideology of Vladimir Lenin? You know the Black Panthers, Angela Davis, received the Vladimir Lenin Award. How many of you feel like Russians care so much about the injustice of Black people that they're willing to send Russians out here to educate some of our leadership to help us see that we hate capitalism? Huh? Is that where you're at? Man, how much? Man, I could just spend 8 hours on this shit. Who viewed the conflict as fundamentally about which European power would dominate the colonial world. He hoped by its end, washed clean by its baptism of blood, the white race will be less able to thrust the strong hand of its sovereignty, of its sovereign will down the throats of other races. In the meantime, as the imperialists fought amongst themselves, the colonized must rise up. The 1916 Eastern Rebellion exemplified the kind of action Harrison hoped to see spread throughout the colonial world. Now, they got a documentary called the 1916 Project? No, maybe not. No, it's the 1619 Project, where they want to falsify the history. Why? Why do you want to change the history? Because you want to program the minds of the future citizens, the future children, the future people to think more like you need them to think. This is all a part of the pie of creating subversion. Subversion is the act of taking down a country and forming that country into the deep state, into the controls of the communist view. How many of you, when you were young, had dreams of becoming a communist? Oh my God. Huh? I'm sure you did. You probably didn't know you did, but I'm sure you did. I'm sure you was trying to overthrow Americans' free trade system, right? You don't want free trade. You want the government to own and control the means of production, so you being a domestic servant could have a better opportunity, more liberal opportunity. Isn't that what you really wanted? Isn't that what you really wanted? Now, I'm just skipping through this long ass article. Let's see. I guess we might as well finish it off with the legacy of radicalism. Harrison died of an appendix operation in 1927 at the age of 44. Obama was the 44th president. Harrison died at 44. I think I just uncovered a mass conspiracy of 44. The conspiracy of 44. His death was not widely noticed, despite his prominence just a decade earlier. In the year after 1920, he had continued to contribute to the New York radical political culture, but never with the influence he held as either a Socialist Party member or the leaders of the New Negro movement. How many new Negroes are there out there? Are you one of the new Negroes? Are you a new Negro? What was an old Negro? An old Negro must have been the opposite of a new Negro. So if the new Negroes are the socialists, then the old Negro must have been the capitalist. Doesn't that make logical sense? almost a century later, contemporaries of Harrison, like Garvey and A. Philip Randolph, remain better known than Black radicals, even though Harrison was much more established in Harlem's leftist politics. What side was he on? The left. Who's out there marching? The leftists. Who are the radicals? The leftists. Nothing's changed. That Black Lives Matter isn't a new ideology. The Black Panthers isn't a new ideology. They are not the new Negroes. The new Negroes was in 1920. These are the new old Negroes. These new Negroes became old, and the old became new. And this is not going away at all. But I still want to know who Grandmaster Jay is. I mean, he out there talking big shit with a big stick. He's part of the leftists, but he sit behind Trump. He either got to tell us he's Secret Service or that he was once a Trump fan. Because not only did he go to the Trump rally, he somehow got his black ass behind Trump. Or he was put there on duty. And he said, I don't fuck with Trump. I was on duty. I was working. Getting that check. That government check. We're going to have to break it down. I wonder will he address that? Somebody that knows INFAC members. Ask him to address how was you sitting behind Trump at a Trump rally like you rolling with Trump? Huh? And if you was rolling with Trump, when did you switch up? What made you switch? How'd you go from Trump to Black Lives Matter to INFAC? Y'all niggas is garbage. Garbage. You INFAC niggas is garbage. Your leader is at a Trump rally. Holding up Trump signs, sitting with folks holding up Trump signs, and you niggas act like y'all hate Trump. What kind of shit is that? Am I the only one who catch this kind of shit? Huh? How many of you niggas support INFAC, the not fucking around coalition? Ah, shit. That's all we need out of this article. This article has come to be worth shit. Now I want to educate you. So you're going to have to get your popcorn out. You got to get out your popcorn because I'm going to have to play some audio. And in order to break down what subversion is and how you take over a nation, you got to listen to this shit. I don't be in here looking for this shit for fun. And I don't be looking for it to do a YouTube show. I got some other shit going on. And I just happen to share some of this shit I'll be finding with you. To wake you up, to red pill your punk ass. So you don't be thinking you know some shit. When you know you don't know no shit. Let's get into this.
Nation with more traditions of food, nice ethnic music introduced by.
Okay. Now, I may stop this audio because he really going in on so much shit. Now, mind you, he's mainly talking about subversion, and he's using various things as his examples. But I want you to be able to take this information and apply it to Black people's circumstance and what you see going on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and everywhere else that you see politics. Because what you're witnessing is subversion. Now let's get it.
Hollywood style. What I'm going to talk about now has absolutely nothing to do with the cliche of espionage or KGB activity of collecting information. And unlike a dictionary of English, Oxford Dictionary, subversion in Soviet terminology means always a destructive, aggressive activity aimed to destroy the country, nation, or geographical area, your enemy. So there's no romantics in there, absolutely. No blowing up bridges, no microfilms in Coca-Cola cans, nothing of that sort. No James Bond nonsense. It's most of this activity is overt, legitimate, and easily observable if you give yourself time and trouble to observe it. But according to the law and law enforcement systems of the Western civilization, it's not a crime. Exactly because of misconception, manipulation of terms. We think that subverter is a person who is going to blow up our beautiful bridges. No, subverter is a student who comes for exchange, a diplomat, an actor, an artist, a journalist like myself was 10 years ago. Now, subversion is an activity which is a two-way traffic. You cannot subvert an enemy which doesn't want to be subverted. If you know history of Japan, for example, before 20th century, Japan was a closed society. The moment a foreign boat comes to the shores of Japan, the Imperial Japanese Army politely tells them to get lost. And if American salesman comes to the shore of Japan, let's say 60 or 70 years from now back, and says, oh, I have a very beautiful vacuum cleaner for you, with the good financing, please leave us with the medial vacuum cleaner. If they don't leave, they shoot them to preserve their culture, ideology, traditions, values intact. You were not able to subvert Japan. You cannot subvert Soviet Union because the borders are closed. The media is censored by the government. The population is controlled by the KGB and internal police. With all the beautiful glossy pictures of Time magazine and Magazine America, which is published by the American embassy in Moscow, you cannot subvert Soviet citizens because the magazine never reaches Soviet citizens. It's collected from the newsstands and thrown to garbage can. Subversion can be only successful when the initiator, the actor, the agent of subversion has a responsive target. It's a two-way traffic. United States is a receptive target of subversion. There is no response similar to that one from United States to the Soviet Union. It stops halfway somewhere, it never reaches here. The theory of subversion goes all the way back 2,500 years ago. The first human being who formulated the tactics of subversion was a Chinese philosopher by the name of Sun Tzu. 3,500 years BC. He was an advisor for several imperial courts in ancient China. And he said, after long meditation, that to implement state policy in a warlike manner. It's the most counterproductive, barbaric, and inefficient to fight on a battlefield. You know that war is continuation of state policy, right? So if you want successfully to implement your state policy and you start fighting, this is the most idiotic way to do it. The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in the country of your enemy, until such time that the perception of reality of your enemy is screwed up to such an extent that he does not perceive you as an enemy, and that your system, your civilization, and your ambitions look to your enemy as an alternative, if not desirable, then at least feasible. Better red than dead. That's the ultimate purpose, the final stage of subversion, after which you can simply take your enemy without a single shot being fired, if the subversion is successful. This is basically what subversion is. As you see, not a single mentioning of blowing up bridges. Of course, some said didn't know about blowing up bridges. Maybe there were not that many bridges at that time. But the basics of subversion is being taught to every student of KGB school in USSR and to officers of military academies. I'm not sure if the same author is included in the list of reading for American officers, to say nothing about ordinary students of political science. I had difficulty to find the translation of Sanzet in the library of a university in Toronto and later on here in Los Angeles. But it's a book which is not available. It is forced to every student in USSR. Every student who is taught to be living further in his future career with foreigners. What subversion is? Basically, it consists of 4 periods, time-wise. If we start from here and go this way, time, right? This is the beginning point. The first stage of subversion is the process which is called basically demoralization. Says for itself what it is. It takes from, say, 15 to 20 years to demoralize a society. Why 15 or 20 years? This is the time sufficient to educate one generation of students or children. One generation, one lifetime span of a person, a human being, which is dedicated to study, to shaping up the outlook, ideology, personality. No more nor less. Usually it takes from 15 to 20 years. What it includes? It includes influencing, or by various methods, infiltration, propaganda methods, direct contacts, doesn't really matter. I will describe them later. Of various areas where public opinion is formulated or shaped. Religion, educational system, social life, administration, law enforcement system, military, of course, and labor and employer relations, economy. Okay, 5 areas. I will not write them down because we'll not have enough space. Sometimes when I describe all the methods, students ask me question, are you sure this is the result of the Soviet influence? Not necessarily. You see, the tactic of subversion, about which I'm talking, is similar to the martial art, the Japanese martial art. If some of you are familiar with that tactic, probably you will remember that if an enemy is bigger and heavier than yourself, it would be very painful to resist his direct strike. If a heavier person wants to strike me in the face, it would be very naive and counterproductive to stop his blow. The Chinese and Japanese judo art tells us what to do. First, to avoid the strike, then to grab the fist and continue his movement in the direction where it was before, right? Until the enemy crashes in the wall. You see? So what happens here? The target country obviously does something wrong. If it's a free democratic society, there are many different movements within the society. There are obviously in every society, there are people who are against this society. They may be simple criminals, ideologically in disagreement with the state policy, conscientious enemies, simply psychotic personalities who are against anything, right? And finally, there are a small group of agents of a foreign nation, bought, subverted, recruited, right? The moment all these movements will be directed in one direction, right? This is the time to catch that movement and to continue it until the movement forces the whole society into collapse, into crisis, right? So that's exactly the martial art tactic. We don't stop an enemy. We let him go. We help him to go in the direction we want them to go. Okay? So, on the stage of demoralization, obviously there are tendencies in each society, in each country, which are going to opposite direction from the basic moral values and principles. To take advantage of these movements, to capitalize on them, is the main purpose of the originator of subversion. So we have religion, we have education, we have social life, we have power structure, we have labor relations, unions, and finally we have law and order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? These are the areas of application of subversion. What it means exactly, in case of religion, destroy it, ridicule it, replace it with various sects, cults, which bring people's attention, faith, whether it is naive, primitive, doesn't really matter. As long as the basically accepted religious dogma is being slowly eroded and taken away from the supreme purpose of religion, to keep people in touch with the supreme being, that serves the purpose. Therefore, replace accepted, respected religious organizations with fake organizations. Distract people's attention from the real faith and attract them to various different faiths. Education. Distract them from learning something which is constructive, pragmatic, efficient. Instead of mathematics, physics, foreign languages, chemistry, teach them history of urban warfare, natural food, home economy, your sexuality, anything, long as it takes you away. Okay? Social life. Replace traditionally established institutions and organizations with fake organizations. Take away the initiative from people. Take away the responsibility from naturally established links between individuals, group of individuals, and society at large, and replace them with artificially, bureaucratically controlled bodies. Instead of social life and friendship between neighbors, establish social workers institutions. The people who are on payroll of whom? Society? No, bureaucracy. The main concern of social workers is not your family, not you, not social relations between groups of people. The main concern is to get the paycheck from the government. What will be the result of their social work doesn't really matter. They can develop all kinds of concepts to show to the government and to the people that they're useful. Okay, away from the natural links, power structure. Okay, the natural bodies of administration, which are traditionally either elected by by people at large or appointed by elected leaders of society are being actively substituted by artificial bodies. The bodies of people, groups of people whom nobody elected. Never. As a matter of fact, most of the people don't like them at all, and yet they exist. One of such group is media. Who elected them? How come they have so much power? Almost monopolistic power on your mind. They can rape your mind. But who elected them? How come they have a nerve to decide what is good and what is bad for the elected by you, president, and his administration? Who the hell are they? Power structure slowly is eroded by the bodies and groups of people who do not have neither qualification nor the will of people to keep them in power, and yet they do have power. Okay. Together with that, there's another process. Law enforcement, law and order organization and structure is being eroded. For the last 20, 25 years, if you see old movies and new movies, you can see that in new movies, a policeman, an officer of the United States Army looks dumb, angry, psychotic, paranoid. A criminal looks nice, kind of, well, he smokes hash and shoots the whatever drug. But basically, he's a nice human being. He's creative. And he's unproductive only because society oppresses him. Whereby a general of Pentagon is always, by definition, a dumb, a war maniac. A policeman is a pig, rude policeman. He abuses his power. You know? A generalization like that. The hatred, the mistrust to the people who are supposed to protect you and enforce law and order. Moral record, a slow substitution of basic moral principles, whereby a criminal is not a criminal actually, he's a defendant. Even if his guilt is proven, there is still a doubt to kill or not to kill, to be or not to be. Thou shalt not kill, yes, but this line may not necessarily be applicable to a murderer. Thou shalt not murder. That should be the presumption, not that thou shalt not kill. Okay, labor relations. At this stage, within 15 to 20 years, we destroy the traditionally established links of bargaining between employer and employee. The classical Marxist-Leninist theory of natural exchange of goods. Person A has 5 sacks of grain and person B has 5 pairs of shoes. And the natural exchange without money is when they bargain between each other. And only with the introduction of the third force, C, an entirely third foreign stranger who says, no, don't give him 5 sacks of grain, give it to me. And you give me your 5 pairs of shoes and I will distribute it accordingly. So the economy will go. This is the death of natural exchange, death of natural bargaining. Well, trade unions were established 100 years ago. The objective was to improve working conditions and to protect the rights of workers from those employers who were abusing their right because they had more money. Objectively, at that time, initially, the trade union movement did work. What we see now is that the bargaining process is no longer resulting in the compromise, which is leading objectively to betterment of working conditions and increase of salary. What we see is that after each prolonged strike, the workers lose. Even if they have 10% increase of their salaries, they cannot catch up due to inflation and due to missed time. More than that, millions of people suffer from that strike because the economy now is interdependent. It's intertwined like one body. If previously steel workers, say 100 years ago, could strike and nobody would suffer, now it's impossible anymore. If a garbage collector strikes today, The rest of the multi-million city is stinking. I mean, there's no more service. In Quebec, for example, we had the electricians who were on strike in the middle of winter. You can freeze your bottom, and they still were on strike. Did they catch up with the salary? No, they lost. Who benefited? The leaders of trade unions. What is the motivation for strike? Improving the workers' condition? No, obviously it's not. Then what is it? Ideology. To prove to these capitalists and the obedient horde of workers like sheep follow these people, and they cannot disobey. Why? Because if they do, you know what happens to them? Pickets, murders, shooting truck drivers by picketers. In Montreal, for example, I saw with my own eyes when I was correspondent of CBC International, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, when the workers of aircraft factory destroyed computers and the equipment in the factory. And the administration employed strike breakers. Their cars were turned upside down and burned. Their houses were burned. Their kids were intimidated, and some victims were there. Of that we can be sure. Why? To improve conditions of workers? No. Ideology. Okay, so this is what happens basically. It may or may not happen without the help of the Soviet Union, but the natural tendencies are being greatly taken advantage of and capitalized by the Soviet propaganda systems. How? Whenever trade union strikes, we have influx of propaganda, mass media, ideological dissemination. The workers' right, and we repeat it like parrots. Yes, workers' right. Whose right? Workers? No. The only freedom of worker to sell his labor according to his own desired will is taken away from him. By whom? By trade union boss. Unlimited power is given. Responsibility. I want to sell my labor not for $2.50 an hour, but for $2. I don't have right. My freedom is denied to me. I know that if I sell my work for $2 an hour, not for $3 an hour, I will compete better with the other guy who is lazy and more greedy. I don't need $3. I need only $2. No, I was made to believe by media, by business, by advertising agencies that I need more and more and more. Have you ever heard any advertising on TV to consume less? No. No way. Whether you need a six-cylinder car or not, you have to buy it. And hurry up. When I was driving here on the local radio station, an excited announcer said, "You hurry up, rush and save, save, save. There is a pantyhose sale." Save by buying more. Of course. It would be too naive to expect that KGB makes the advertising agency to do such a crazy commercial. No, of course not. But what we did when I was working for Novosti Press, we would snow plow editorial offices, student organizations, religious groups with literature of class struggle. If not directly Marxist-Leninist propaganda, then a propaganda of the legitimate aspirations of working class, betterment of life, equality. Equality, mind you. President Kennedy once said, we will make America to believe that people are born equal. Are people born equal? Is there any mentioning in the Bible or any other holy scripture in any religion, if you don't believe me, go to the library and check it. There is not a single word about equality. Just the opposite. By your deeds, God will judge you. What you do is important. The merit of your personality. You cannot legislate equality. If you want to be equal, you have to be equal. You have to deserve it. And yet we build our society on the principle of equality. We say people are equal. We know it is false. It's a lie. Some people are tall and stupid. Others are short, bold, and clever. if we make them equal by force, if we put the principle of equality in the basis of our socio-political structure, it's the same thing as building a house on sand. Sooner or later, it will collapse, and that's exactly what happens. And we, as Soviet propaganda makers, are trying to push you in the direction which you go yourself. Equality, yes, equality. People are equal to you. Right. And yet we repeat as parents, equality, equality, equality. And the Soviet propaganda system helps us to believe that equality is something which is desirable. Democracy, as it was established by fathers of this country, of this system in the last century, is not equality. It's the system where different people, unequal people, have a chance to survive and help each other in constant competition, in constant perfection, not in equality, which is superimposed from a godfather or nice person in Washington, D.C. And the absolute equality exists in Soviet Union, quote unquote equality. Everybody is equal in dirt, except some people are more equal than the others in Politburo. So, the moment you bring a country to the point of almost total demoralization, when nothing works anymore, when you are not sure whether it is right or wrong, good and bad, but there's no division between evil and good, when even the leaders of church sometimes say, well, violence for the sake of justice, especially social justice, is justified in the countries like Nicaragua, El Salvador, well, maybe Rhodesia, and we listen to them and say, yeah, probably it's true. Is it true? No, it is not true. Violence is not justified, especially for the sake of quote-unquote social justice introduced by Marxist-Leninism. That is my former colleague from Novosti Press Agency. Okay, so where is the point? The next step is destabilization. Again, this word says for itself what it is: to destabilize all the relations, all the accepted institutions and organizations in the country of your enemy. How you do it? You don't have to send a battalion of KGB agents to blow up bridges. No, you let them do it themselves. The area of application is, again, it's narrower now, not like the previous case. The overt legitimate actions of the KGB in this case would be hardly noticeable. There is no crime if a professor who recently went to USSR introduces a course of Marxism-Leninism in a Californian college, for example. Nobody is going to come to his doorstep and say, okay, mister, come, you're under arrest. No, it's not a crime. It's not even considered a moral crime against your country. So the area of application here is narrowing down to economy, again, labor relations, right? To law and order, plus military. And economy, law and order. Yes, and again, the media, but...
Okay. I got to break in right here. Because the last point he just said was law and order. Trump put out a tweet, law and order. What is law and order? That is when the military steps in. So when you see the news, we're at the stage of destabilization in the process of subverting a nation. Subversion. We're at the point of destabilization. This is the job of Black Lives Matter, the trained Marxists, the Marxist, Leninist, socialist, Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of people who want to deny socialism and Marxism, but obtain the slogan Black Lives Matter. I'm down for Black Lives Matter. I ain't down with the movement. Fool, the movement is Black Lives Matter. It has nothing to do with the meaning of Black Lives Matter. It has everything to do with the movement of Marxism, socialism, radicalism, and the destabilization of your nation. This is why Trump is so important. Because you don't want to see the left win. You think you do. You think you hate Trump until you see them win. Until you realize they actually defunded the goddamn police. And in fact, standing in my house telling me this and telling me that with rifles. You want the police or you want in fact? You want this crazy ass agent who done radicalized these weak, soft, puppy ass, comedic, aboriginal niggas being your police officers, telling you what you can do and what you can't do. And you know you got to come outside and bust up some heads and fight off some dumbass niggas with no education walking around with a pistol. So law and order is the last stage. You think Joe Biden is going to give you law and order? You think the Patriots is going to stand for Biden? See, when the Patriots come out, should the left win, it's civil war. It's full on blast because they're not going to live in a socialist country. They're not going to stand for destabilization of the nation. They're way more armed than in fact. Take a look at the videos. You don't even see the full breadth of who they are. You don't even see it. So right now, currently, the left is propagating they're going to have to drag Trump out of office. They want to vote by mail. Here's the problem. Here's the problem that the left has. The vote by mail system, voting for a president, is not concluded by citizens voting. Those that pick the president are delegates, super delegates. They pick the president. They're not going to wait to January 20th. They're going to pick a president based on the outcome. So here's what's going to happen. The Democrats are voting by mail. They want to clog the system. The voting count is going to be ridiculously swayed, and those that vote in person are going to actually get counted. So when you see the end result, Trump wins by a landslide. This is going to force the delegates to have to pick Trump. Then the Democrats are going to say, but wait, hold up, wait. We haven't counted all the votes. Civil unrest is going to begin. We're going to move into law and order. You're going to swear Trump is running the military state. You got the police out here, the military police, busting up Black Lives Matter heads and Antifa ass all over the place. In conclusion, the Patriots win. Black Lives Matter is in America. That's George Soros. That's not America. That's George Soros. Antifa is in America. Antifa is George Soros. Millions and millions of dollars spent for civil unrest to create destabilization. I shouldn't be going this deep. I might be waking you uncomfortably up from a deep sleep. It ain't easy. It ain't easy, Breezy. Could you imagine? Can you imagine what the real look like? Y'all might not be ready for what's coming. You might hate Trump because you're badly educated and then you're full of the left propaganda. But if you ask yourself, are you a Marxist? You're going to say no. If you ask yourself, are you down for BlackLivesMatterMovement.com and what they stand for? You're going to be like, I never really read it. We'll go read it. And then when you read it, you're going to say, no, I'm not really down for the destabilization and the eradication of the nuclear family. I'm just down for Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter. All I can tell you, I'm going to hit you with this.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, this shit can't be against the rules now. I fuck with these niggas. Get the nigga that did designer ad libs, get him on the phone, because this shit about to be lit. Like a I got hoes up and Brooklyn. My Jamaican bitch be cooking. She sit me down at the table. I let you know how I was looking. Rice and peas, macaroni, cheese, collard greens, no, she don't bullshit. She Steph Curry with the curd chicken, she just make a whole bunch of good shit. I've been at the goal. I got the rifle on the tow truck. Had to hit her with some basic and give me the rock, but back, give me more. But I go with five up secure line with my dogs run down in Florida. I stack it, pack it in that order. Hold up, I'm on the way out. I need to put some in my soda. I don't need no much, I'ma go get a bunch of Asian bitches something to roll over. A legacy, fuck that. They thought I said I was gonna come back. Now go tell them that when you run back. You a hoe, so you already done that. Hold up, I'm on the way out. I need to put some in my spank, bitch. If you think you're doing it, I'm about to ruin it. You niggas going the night, bitch. If you think I'm big now, what's what happen when I come and turn on the light switch? I'm on that pen shit, I come in handle it more than this shit but a flight, bitch. I mean, really though. If you think about it, really think about it, how hard do they really go? Some really do. Yeah. What you really know? They ain't really know. Let's go, bitch. Hey, that's a bitch. I got bitches in the Bronx, nigga. They can get me in the back door. Rob a nigga in the trap house. You just walked in the trap door. Cross the body in the Bugatti. Go put the bricks in the rap boy. If sleeping on pillows, somebody go ask these niggas what they taking the nap for. Illuminati, that's the squad, nigga. We got to see out with a big day. But I swear to God, I'ma keep killing niggas and I put that shit on my kids' head. Gas, no, I'm an asshole. So don't go pistol in his brand. I'm the type of nigga that'll find a nigga, then go find a chick and get a bitch. Yeah, I'm all the way up. Don't need to stop me, amigo. Don't put your eye on that people. Cause I'm turning back in your head to a people. Singing in the door and murk on your people. You already know the weapon is lethal. Flip the clip, cock it back, pull the hair trigger. Yeah, nigga, back with the sequel. I got rocks in my head, nigga. They smoking that shit from the West Coast. Can make the kids when you hating me. You can fuck around, get your neck broke. You fucking ride with the wind squad. They gon' find your body at the Tesco. The summer coming, then you coming with nothing. You ready for the nigga? Let's go. All I'm saying is pen, and they handle my shit. While I'm chilling up in Alabama trying to show a bitch up as a level can get. With all this leaning up under these gold chains, I'm mistaking me for 50 kids. I'm coming after them, passing them. All I do is fucking lead. I got brothers out in Cali. I got hoes getting ratchet. Hit dispensaries and grab it. Rip it all up in that plastic. USPS, I'm a tracker. 2 days per money, I have it. They making the meeting of Texas. 200 racks in the mattress. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a street nigga. Ain't got a sound like nobody, I'm just me, nigga. Been on tour with T-Pain, that's for free, nigga. That's why I still fuck with them bricks and the weed, nigga.
Ha, Law and Order, nigga, when I drop truck, nigga, what? Panda. Y'all not ready for this shit. So, the last stage that you need to understand how deep this rabbit hole goes is Law and Order. If you don't understand what Law and Order is, let me break it down for you.
As president is to defend our great country and the American people. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries of peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun here in the nation's capital. The Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. America needs creation, not destruction. Cooperation, not contempt. Security, not anarchy. Healing, not hatred. Justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed. 100%, we will succeed. Our country always wins. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residence, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence. One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family. America is founded upon the rule of law. It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life. But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future. We must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions today with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country. By far, our greatest days lie ahead. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special place. Thank you very much.
Law and order. You're not ready for this. This is subversion. Black radicals are programmed by Zionist Jews. I don't need to prove it. You already agree with me. If you don't agree with me, you gotta be. You got to be the dumbest nigga on earth if you can't see it. Once again, Hit Boss is the realest shit in it. Quick little break. I had to get my thinking cap on. Take a little breather. Any questions? Anybody want to hit that link? Anybody think I don't know what I'm talking about? Anybody want to add to the conversation? Doesn't matter if you do. I simply put this information out there to check you in the head. You're not ready. You're not educated. If you can't see the writing on the wall, Black radicalism is over November 3rd. In fact, is a wrap November 3rd. Black Lives Matter will be deceased November 3rd. Once the election goes down, you will hear no more about black radicalism, white radicalism, and all this nonsense. It's all Zionist propaganda to subvert America from being the greatest capitalist operation ever seen in the universe. Ever. I'm your boy, the Digital Pit Boss. And you just been red pilled.